Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the Cobb TV studios for our weekly chat with Chairman Mike Boyce. And good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Russ.
And you and I are both going to be heading up to North Cobb here in a little bit for a special event.
That's right. I have on my power tie today, which means that we're having an opening of some facility here. And this is today we dedicate the expansion of the North Cobb Senior Center. I'm already hearing great things about that. A couple things is that they've got new wellness equipment and people are taking advantage of that. We always have a soft opening to make sure that everything's working well. But this is just another example of the kind of facilities we have in Cobb that have made Cobb the choice destination because of all the great things that happen here, regardless of your age, from when you're born until you go to glory.
And it's services like this and facilities like this that are going to factor into the budget discussions we're going to have coming up in the coming months.
Right. Well, I was glad to see a story this week in the local newspaper that one of the candidate forums, obviously the budget and the transit are the two major topics right now, and people who go to these forums or watch them on television or read about them, they want to know the position of the candidates with regard to many issues, and two of them, of course, are the budget and the transit. And what I read is that this effort that we've been making since Christmas time to get out in front of the story, let people know that this is what we think it costs to run this county, to pay for the services you've come to expect. The candidates, albeit somewhat reluctantly, are agreeing that there may be a need for a millage rate increase to sustain this lifestyle. And I go again back to the comments I made all along, is that if you don't want to have these amenities, then simply let me know and tell me which ones you don't want, and we'll reduce the budget subsequently, which will bring your taxes down. But I just want to bring up a personal comparison here today. I got my tax assessment in the mail on Saturday, and now look, I'm over 62, so I don't pay the school tax. But the other advantage is it goes to show you the insight that Bill Byrne, the chairman back in the early part of this century, had in passing this thing called the floating exemption. So the bottom line is that even though my house, and in my lifetime, I never thought I'd ever think anybody would assess a ranch house, all right, at $694,000. You think I'm living in La La Land, but that is the fair market value that the county tax assessor believes my house should be sold at. And yet, I pay taxes on $80,000. That's the floating exemption, because that's the assessed value of my house in 2000 when they implemented the floating exemption. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm paying $100 a month to live in Cobb County. That's what I pay. When you consider the fire fund, which, by the way, I'm paying more for the fire fund than I'm paying for the general fund part of my taxes. When you include the parks bond, which is buying some really great properties, you add all those amounts in together, I get to live in this county for $100 a month. If you don't think that's the deal of a lifetime, I don't know what planet you live on. Now, I understand that other people don't, their houses are assessed a little bit more value, but it goes to show you that we are doing all we can to leave the money in your wallet when we can. But we've reached the point now where I'm asking for some of that money back. Because like I said, we've looked at all the aspects, we've taken all the buckets and taken money out of them. There are no more buckets to raid. So I'm going to be asked probably this year to give another $5 a month for my lifestyle to live in this county. I think I'll take them up on that offer. And my job is to convince the other taxpayers to understand this. So what we'll be seeing here over the next 6 weeks as we get closer to the budget rate and the millage rate, we're going to be having charts explaining, A, when you look at your tax assessor bill, this is the amount you need to focus on, and don't get excited about the other part. There are some parts of that bill that you should get excited about, but they have nothing to do with the county, all right? So there's another phone number to address that part of the tax bill. But for our tax bill, we have really made it lean and mean. But there comes a time when it just costs more to live in any part of the United States, and we now have to pay a little bit more to maintain that lifestyle.
And your story goes to the narrative that I hear from a lot of people that we're setting a record tax digest in Cobb County. How can the county be hurting for money? But it's this floating homestead exemption that 52% of residential homes have that plays into that.
It takes $23 million out of my wallet, the county's wallet, every year, because that's the exemption That's what the exemption adds up to for all the houses that get that here in Cobb County. And I think it's important to remind the viewers that you can only get an exemption on one house, and those exemptions don't apply to commercial property. So, you know, it's a very complicated picture, but again, we have the lowest millage rate in the North Metro area. And if we do go higher than some of the other ones, because we have more amenities to offer and those amenities that, but nonetheless, I would ask anybody to compare what we provide you with our money with any other county in the North Metro area. And I think you realize that you live in a great county run by people who watch your money very carefully.
And again, as we go through this debate, there will be 7 town halls, 3 public hearings.
Right.
We'll put the dates up on the screen so people can check those out. It's also on our website, cobbcounty.org. So there'll be plenty of opportunities to participate.
Right. You're gonna know a lot more about your tax bill than you ever thought you did, and be able to be more informed about it, which is again my commitment to make sure that my commissioners that I work with, not mine, they're your commissioners, they have all the facts that they need to make an informed decision.
I learned one thing today. I'm paying more than you are, apparently, for on my property taxes.
I'm a lot older than you, Ross.
That's true. I'm going to go there. Speaking of the other topic you mentioned that's come up during this election season, transit.
Right.
We're going to get some information thrown our way next month.
Correct. We're going to have what I call a stakeholder meeting. The HB 930 made it very clear that they want our participation in any future transit options to be a collaborative effort with the delegation, at least to lead up to what the board decides that it is going to ultimately do. And I think that's important, is that the board is responsible for deciding whether we're going to have a referendum on any kind of issue involving future transit. That takes money, asking for money out of your wallet. But my concern has always been that the tax bill is so long, it's over 75 pages, that not everybody's had a chance to read it or understand the nuances of it. So Chris Tomlinson, who's the director of Greta, is going to come and give a presentation on June 13th at the Cobb Civic Center, 10 o'clock, and he's going to talk about HB 930 and the aspects of it. And from there, we'll begin this long journey towards implementing, if we want, aspects of 930 that will bring us more into this regional partnership that I certainly support.
And again, we're not to a point where we're having town halls yet. We're really still gathering information.
That's right. And as we all know, there was some issues involving the survey that initially the business community was going to do. But it was expressed both by me at the outset and by others that there might be this perception that if the business community does that, then they would hire a firm that would give them a desired outcome. And I just want to say from day one, I don't believe any of that. I've come to know many members of the chamber, certainly the CIDs I know very well. They're not that kind of people. Plus, they understand where I'm coming from, all right? Because we're the ones that are driving this train. They're all passengers on the train, but we're driving the train. And I made it very clear that we had to have an understand. The public had to understand that this was going to be an impartial survey. And ultimately, we decided that the only way you could really do this is if the county did that survey. So we're going to bring this up at the budget hearing on June 12th now, to discuss the funding of this survey. And it's all part of the big picture of collecting information that we can use to formulate and make an informed decision, both for the delegation and for the board members, as to what we want to do next year when it comes time to implementing aspects of HB 930.
And again, when it comes to a referendum, we're still looking for November of 2019.
If we do a referendum, it will be November 2019. But again, everyone has an opinion right now. But what I would say is be patient. Let's present you with all the facts. And more importantly, let's hear back from the voters. Let's hear how they feel about this. And collectively, all these discussions and input will lead to something next year.
And you touched on a meeting next month on the 12th, and that's really when the budget talk really starts heating up.
Right. I had my last presentation from my last commissioner about his directors and agencies here in the county that he's the liaison for. And so now we've taken all that input from all 4 presentations from each of the commissioners, and the finance department right now is putting together a draft straw man. I'll start talking about that tomorrow. The commissioners will all have a draft straw man sometime before they leave for Memorial Day weekend that they can think about for 2 weeks. And then on June 12th at 1 o'clock at the Civic Center, we will get together, it'll be a public meeting, and discuss what we want our 2019 budget to look like. And that's the budget that I will take on the road for the 7 town halls and 43 each public hearings.
All right. Well, it's a long road ahead on both the budget and transit and everything else that we're working on. Again, don't forget the schedule for town halls. That'll be up on cobbcounty.org and many other of our social media sites as well. Pay attention to that, participate, and we will see you next week.
All right, I'll be back.